People show up in the beginning, they check in, they send messages, they say things like, I'm here for you, and let me know if you need anything. And then at some point, they stop. Not because anything is wrong, not because they don't care, but because life keeps moving. Work picks up, routines come back, other problems take priority, and you're still sitting with something that never left. The hardest part of grief isn't always the loss itself. It's what happens when everything around you starts acting like it's over, but you know it isn't. Welcome back to Strength After Sorrow. I am Jeff Sandman, and today that is what we're going to be talking about. That space, the silence, the part that nobody really talks about. Whatever that situation was that you went through, whether for us it was the loss of our child, for you maybe it was that divorce, maybe it was getting fired from a job, or whatever it was, it can be any type of thing that you go through. And I've shared, we all go through life, and it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes it's thorns and Legos that you're stepping on. So hey, that's how you know you're a dad, if you've got Legos that you're stepping on. There's just a time that, at some point, it seems like people stop asking how you're doing. I don't think it's intentional. It's just the way life works. Whether it's they're assuming that time did what it was supposed to. And this isn't something that is taught. This isn't something that when I was in school, I don't remember any classes on here is how you deal with somebody that went through a traumatic situation, or this is how you can be there for somebody when they're going through things. There is no class like that I ever went through in school. So these are things that I think we just need to learn as we're going through life. The more that we go through things, the more we understand what was it that we needed when we were going through things could help us better be there for somebody when they're going through something as well. I know for us, there was a couple of times, especially in the beginning, it just seemed, and I've got to probably take responsibility for a lot of it on my end because I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't letting people know how I was feeling or what I was doing, or if somebody did ask, how are you doing? I took it more like a conversational, how are you doing? It wasn't a, do you really want to know how I'm doing, kind of how you doing? So a lot of times I would just kind of, let the outside facade come on and say, I'm doing all right. We're just slowly getting by, and I would leave it at that. Occasionally, I would kind of open up a little bit, but it was not a common thing. And when I'm having conversations with other people that are going through things, I can see it in them as well, that they're not sure. Do you really want to know what's going on? Is this actually a safe space for me to be able to share? And I think that is our responsibility to let them know, because I think most of us can kind of read a situation and let them know, yes, I really want to know how you're doing, not just on the surface level, not just a, hey, how are you doing kind of thing, not a casual, but I really want to know how you're doing. I don't want to hear, hey, I'm just doing fine. Or one of the common things that we would get in church was, praise Jesus, or I'm just in love with Jesus, or whatever it was. And those are the places that we're supposed to be able to come and share what it is that we're going through and get support from our brothers and sisters, get support from our community. I heard a little thing, it was a couple weeks ago, and it's one of those, I'm trying to remember exactly how it went. He was essentially saying that if you don't share what you're going through with somebody because you don't want to talk about it, or you don't want to vent, or whatever it is, he said essentially you are robbing that person that opportunity to be able to be there for you and to be able to support you. That right there kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I wish I would have heard that 6.5 years ago, because 7 years wouldn't have done me any good, but 6.5 maybe after a little bit of time. And that might have actually opened up a few opportunities. It would have been one of those, do you really want to know how I'm doing? Because I am one of those, I probably would have asked that. Do you really want to know how I'm doing, or are we just being casual right now? And if we're just being casual, hey, great, that's fine. And I have no issue with that. But I did. I would hold back. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of people I talk to, they hold back. And I know there's something going on in their lives. It's just they don't want to talk about it. And I don't necessarily probe enough. Maybe I should, especially knowing what it was that I wanted or I thought that I wasn't getting when we were going through some things. One thing I've learned, and I shared again, grief doesn't move on a schedule. It's there, it's gone, it's there, it's gone. You think you're doing great, and then all of a sudden it comes back up. There's no point where everything suddenly clicks back into place. It just does not work that way. So here everybody is. It seems like everybody else is just continuing to move forward, and here I am, or here you are, trying to learn how to carry something that didn't go away. It is still there. Whether for, like I said, for us, the loss of our child. For you, maybe it was that bankruptcy, or that you've lost that job, or a divorce, or a doctor's report that was not right, or whatever it was. You're still going through that. It's still there. But everybody else's life seems like it's just continued to move forward. And I remember having some times where I would look at some different things and I would get almost mad because people were actually doing good, or they had some celebrations. For us, losing our son, and then we see somebody else that has a son and their son's doing great. And it wasn't that, I guess it wasn't that I was mad. I was jealous is probably a little more the proper way of putting it. I was jealous because they had a son to be able to celebrate something with them. And to me, it felt like we'd lost our son. And I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole there. We didn't lose him. He passed away, or, whatever. You can get into the philosophy of that. So whatever. But to us, we lost our son. We lost the time that we thought we were going to have with him. We lost what we thought could be, or whatever it was. So I was jealous. I was jealous of people that were moving on. I was jealous of people that were celebrating their sons, or whatever it was. And I tried to be happy for them, but it was really hard. It's really hard when you see somebody else doing really good in a situation that you're not. And we've gone through other things, but so I could see the same thing if somebody's doing really well in the job market and it seems like they're getting offered all these different jobs or whatever it is. And here you are, you're over here, you lost your job and you're struggling to find anything. I could see how there's that jealousy or that anger or whatever it is, because, well, why are they doing so good in this area and I seem to be struggling in this area, or whatever it is. Or here I just went through, I thought I was going to be married to this person for the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden you go through this divorce and you're looking at all these other couples that seem like they're just happy and they've got life figured out. And that anger and that jealousy or whatever riles up inside you. And these are valid emotions. And it's okay to have those. It's just one of those things that you've got to figure out how to deal with. How are you going to let this show up in your life? Are you going to let this completely take control of you? Or are you going to be able to let this kind of help you learn in this situation? For us, it was that silence when we weren't around people. That was where it seemed like it hit the hardest, because we weren't around people. We weren't in situations that could take my mind off of things. I wasn't preoccupied, I guess you could say. I would go to the gym, I'd go to church, and I'm going to work. So I'm putting in time. I'm having some things that are occupying my mind. But then I would go home and here I am all by myself, or with my wife, or with my kids, but we're all going through the same thing. For us, so for us, it was that quiet time. It was that, we weren't really talking about it. My wife and I would try to talk about it, or when we'd go to one of our grief groups, then, we'd talk about it and she'd cry. I'd try not to cry, just that standard, let's just not cry because I got to be strong. And it was just a really weird time for us. That's normal. It is so normal for that time to be where you're by yourself. That is when those thoughts start to come up. That's when you start thinking about, well, what could have been, or anything like that. Well, gee, I wonder what it would have been like if our son would have married somebody and then we would have had grandkids. And then on the other end of it, we were kind of glad that he didn't have any kids, because then he wasn't leaving somebody behind in that aspect. So it was kind of a one way or the other. And so emotions are they're weird how they flare up, and you think one way, but then you think another way. But back to, with people being around, it just, I think for me at least, it seemed like I felt they were gone too soon. And again, like I said, that was probably partly on me because I wasn't reaching out. And I don't know what I was expecting, but I also know that people don't know what to do. Because again, like I said, we aren't taught about this stuff. We aren't taught what to do for your friend or your family that is going through something. It's just, we're just told to be there for them. What does that mean? What does be there for you mean? Because like I said before, I am not going to call you and tell you, hey, I'm going through something right now. I need to talk. That was not my character. And we had a couple people that, would check in on us or whatever. But we also had some friends that seemed like we just all of a sudden lost all communication with. I still remember we had one friend that we completely lost all contact with them, and we got contact back with them a few years later, and they said that they thought that we needed space because it broke our heart. But at the same time, like I said, we aren't taught how to deal with this. We aren't taught how to be there. So for them to think that is totally valid. I wish it would have been different, but it wasn't. But that's something that I can learn. I can learn from that. And now when somebody that I know is going through something, let's just not, okay, if I knew that we didn't need space, we needed support, then that means I need to be there for somebody as well. So I can learn from that experience. And again, that's what this whole strength after sorrow is. It is learning in life. It is learning through every opportunity that we come up against. And it's part of that victor mentality of overcoming and learning and becoming better so that we can be there for others. We had, like I said, several friends that it just seemed like our relationship got further and further and further. And the next thing you know is just, we don't talk. There might be a text here or there, whatever it was. But I think a lot of it was, again, they just don't know how to be there for you. And what do you say to somebody that lost a child? What do you say to somebody that just lost what they thought was their whole life, being married and they got a bad divorce? What do you say to that? Buck up, buddy. You'll get them next time, or it's okay. Really, what do you say? Those can make very awkward conversations. And if you're not somebody that likes to be awkward, what's the easiest thing to do is to avoid this situation. And unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of us do. We avoid that situation, so now we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about that awkwardness. The bad thing is here we are on the other end going, where is everybody? Where's that support? Why do I feel so alone right now? Why I already feel alone because of what I'm going through, but now I'm really alone because it feels like nobody else is there. And of course, we had our family. Our family was there. Our family was a support, but our family's going through it at the same time. So I wasn't there to support them necessarily. And so we've all got to try to figure out how we're going to deal with it. And everybody deals with things their own way. So it is just one of those things that we have to try to figure out and just learn from it, so that if a situation comes up, we can be better. There was also some thoughts, and I'm sure a lot of people, we never got that on our end, but we have some friends that have lost a child, and some of the things that were said to them, or just downright, if I was a violent person, I would smack somebody like that. And your first reaction is that you want to smack somebody like that. The comments like, well, it was probably better off, or, well, at least you got another one, or all these weird things, like those are supposed to make you feel better or something. No, those are just insensitive comments. And if you don't know what to say, just don't say anything. What was the old saying growing up for me? If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Unfortunately, people just kind of vomit out of their mouth before they ever even think about it. And the people that are going through things seem to be the ones that get the results of that. So it is those times that we're in there, people being there, people not knowing what to do, us looking at everything going on, saying, well, maybe I should be further along by now. Maybe I'm stuck. Maybe I'm the only one still feeling this deeply. Maybe I should just get over this. Maybe this, maybe that. Whatever it is, all these thoughts start coming in, but none of that's true. It's just what silence does. If you sit in silence long enough, those thoughts come in your mind. Those thoughts ruminate. And like I shared before, in the Bible, it talks about taking every thought captive. And it's easier said than done. You can just sit here and spew off those words. Oh, you take every thought captive, take every thought captive. And then all of a sudden there are those thoughts. And here you are, you're kind of ruminating in all these thoughts and you're letting them kind of take control. And then next thing you know, you start taking a nosedive. Before you know it, you've either snapped at your wife, snapped at your children, snapped at a customer at work, or whatever it was, did something, said something that you wish you wouldn't have. Now you got to go back. You got to apologize. And then the next time it starts happening, you're like, okay, nope. I need to stop that. Don't think about that. Get that out. Find somebody that I can actually relay this to. Hey, here's what I'm feeling. Which is why community is so important. Somebody that you can have to be able to share. And it's not just your spouse, not just your family. It's just, you've got to have somebody that you can trust. For guys, you need to have a guy friend that you can share something with, because there's just something about being able to share something with another man. And yes, my wife is my life partner. She is my best friend. I try to share everything with her, but there's just something about me being able to unload something with another guy, and I can unload that in a way that I don't have to worry about me hurting his feelings, or I'm trying to pull back because I don't want him to take it the wrong way. When I'm sharing with my wife, I am usually kind of careful about that. I don't want to bring it out in a way where I think that she thinks I'm coming at her or blaming her or anything like that. So with a guy friend, you can just open up. And most of us, we're strong enough to take it. We don't care. Most of us guys, if we get in a fist fight, then 10 minutes later, we're sitting down, we're hanging out together. Hey man, that was a pretty good punch you hit, or whatever it was. So there's just something really important about having that. So if you don't have that, I recommend that you find that. Find a guy, find some guys that you can just open up to. Even if it's just having a safe space to where you feel like you can. Even if you feel like you can, then you're way ahead of the game. What people don't see when, what happens when it's quiet, it's not the moments that are shared. It's the ones that aren't. It's when, going back to that, when it's that you're alone, we get those thoughts or those feelings where we just don't want to do anything, getting up when I don't want to, or whatever it is. I mean, like I said before, I had my own business and I was losing my desire to do anything. I did not want to go to work. I did not want to go fix things, which before, I absolutely loved it. I loved going to work. I loved going and doing things. I loved going to the gym and training people. And that even almost kind of turned into, at first, it turned into just kind of a chore. I would go there and I would just do my due diligence. I played on the worship team playing guitar at church. And I was just kind of going through the motions there. I would get up and I would go up on stage and I would play, and then I would get down, go sit down, and then just kind of disappear. And I strategically would do things. I would be up there for practice right before church, and then I would kind of come off stage and I would go off in a different place to where I really didn't have to talk to anybody. And then I'd come up, and then after we were done, then, I'm back up on stage trying to put my stuff away, just so I could kind of try to avoid people. Those are some of those things. What people don't see, what people don't realize, or going to work when my mind is somewhere else. I'm here trying to fix things, and what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about our son. I'm thinking about all those things. Here you are, you're going to work and you're thinking about, okay, what about this divorce? What am I going to do now? I lost my job, and here I am now. I'm out and about. I'm trying to find a job. Where do I go? What do I do? And all these things, the things that people don't see. It's not like a cartoon where we've got this little bubble up above our head with the words of what's going on in our mind. That's not how this works. We have to express those feelings, and if we're not talking about it, nobody knows. Here I am in conversations. I'm not fully present, but I'm just smiling. I'm just kind of nodding, because I checked out a long time ago because I had other thoughts in my mind. And those are just what happens. It's a thing that, your emotions get a hold of you, and you've got to try to figure that out. It's slowly one of those, as you're doing these things, okay, I'm getting up, I'm going to work, I'm getting up, I'm making the bed, I'm making sure that I brush my teeth, I'm making sure that I do this, making sure that I eat food, making sure that all these things that you don't want to do because there's no desire, because you're going through something, because in your mind, and a lot of times in your mind, you're the only one going through this. And why did this have to happen to me? I can't believe this is happening to me. And what am I going to do? And I just don't know whatever I'm going to do. But slowly, the repetition of having a routine, doing this, doing that. Okay, I'm brushing my teeth at this time. I'm doing this. I'm getting up. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to make sure that I'd say comb my hair, but I don't have any. But making sure that, okay, let's groom my beard. Let's make sure that I'm putting on clean clothes or whatever it is, or let's go to the gym. Let's go for a walk. Let's do this. Let's talk to somebody. Let's go have coffee together. Let's slowly, repetition after repetition, things start coming back. Things start progressing. In the days that don't feel important to anyone else, it was important to you because those were the times that you were starting to progress. And I ran across a few people doing the grief stuff that it had been 7 years. I remember one lady, and this was on a Zoom one, so this wasn't even in person yet. This was just on a Zoom grief group. And this lady had lost her child 7 years prior, which is crazy to think because here we are coming up on 7 years. 7 years prior to that, she had not been out of her house to go do pretty much anything. She didn't go to the store. Maybe she went to the doctor. I don't know, but she wouldn't go to the store. She wouldn't do anything for 7 years. And then she finally got on a Zoom group and shared her story. And I would like to believe that that was the start of it right there. That was the start of her opening up and progressing. And that was one of those waking moments for me that I don't ever want to take that long to not live. And I've shared our son would not want us to do the woe is me or the I can't believe this or I can't. He would want us to live. He would want us to continue to progress and like I'm doing right now, sharing our story and hopefully reaching people that are going through the same types of things, whether it's grief, whether it's trauma, whatever it is. Like I said, we all go through things and life is just hard. And we have to progressively put in those reps, just like weightlifting. The more reps you put in, the more consistent you are. Running, the more miles you put in, the better you're going to be, the easier it becomes. You start with 1 mile and next thing you know, you're at 2 miles. And that 2 miles felt about the same as the 1 mile used to. And then you progress. And life is just that way. The more you do this, the more you progress, the easier it becomes. And yes, there's setbacks. You run across something and here you are going, oh, here it is again. Here's another thing. You think, man, this one's totally new. But when you look back at it, well, it's a different situation, but I can also take the principles from this other thing and actually apply it here, and I can make it through again. I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about where strength actually starts. And this is where people get strength wrong. A lot of people think that, oh man, you're so strong because of this, because of that, whatever it is, what you went through. I couldn't imagine, we got that a lot. I couldn't imagine going through what you did. You're so strong and all that. Strength isn't built in moments when everything is going well. I'll tell you that right now. Here I am, I'm 53, and I get compliments on the way that I look as far as my physique. This wasn't built overnight. This was a lot of time, and it's the same thing with our lives. The things that we go through, hey, I can't believe, it seems like you're always happy. It seems like you're always so easy-go-lucky, whatever it is. Well, those don't come natural. Those come with working through things and having a mindset of, I'm going to make it. I'm going to get through. It is in those quiet times. It's in those situations that when you're not motivated, when it feels like you haven't been supported or whatever it is, strength is built in silence. It's built in repetition. It's built in the days where nothing feels meaningful, but you still do what needs to be done. You don't get any recognition. I didn't get any awards for this. I don't want any awards. There's no audience. There's no hand clapping. There's no feedback loop telling you that you're doing it right. Nothing. You just show up and you just do. And then at some point you realize something important, that you're not waiting to feel better before you live again. You're already living. You're doing what life is, even if it doesn't feel complete. I tell you what, we've had some times where, and there's still times now, I just don't feel like it's complete. I feel like we're missing something. And you kind of go back, you're like, what am I missing? What is it that I'm missing? Since losing our son, I've definitely become very grateful for what I have. My family and the things that I have, this house that we have, the job that I have. And I'm not one of those that runs through a gratitude list or anything like that. But I do every once in a while just sit in my thoughts and think, what am I thankful for? I have a family that loves me. I have my immediate family right here with me. My oldest daughter, her two boys, our youngest daughter, I've got my wife. We're in a place together. I know exactly where everybody is. I know they're safe, at least as safe as I can try to keep them. I've got a job that I get to go to, and I get to do pretty much my thing. As long as I am getting my job done, I don't get bothered. I enjoy what I do. I get to go to the gym and work out and feel good. I get to go ride my bike every once in a while. There are so many things that I just think about and I'm grateful for, but yet there's these times where I'm like, what am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something. And sometimes it's those times where I'm like, I'm thinking of other things. I'm thinking of what I'm missing instead of what I have. That is the part of, even if it doesn't feel complete, even if it doesn't feel how you want it to. Well, this wasn't the plan that I had. It doesn't matter what your plan was. Our plan certainly was never to have any of this happen. I'm sure your plan was never to have, well, let's get married and let's get a divorce here in a couple of years. That wasn't the plan. If that was the plan, you wouldn't have got married. You didn't plan on losing your job. If you had planned, then it wouldn't be a traumatic event. You didn't plan on getting that doctor's report. You didn't plan on whatever it was. You didn't plan on getting a flat tire on your way to a job interview. Now you're late. Now you know you're not going to get the job. You didn't plan that. Life happened. And it's not how we plan it. But we just got to keep on going. Strength isn't forgetting. It's carrying. It's carrying your experiences and learning and growing and sharing. Our job as human beings is to share what it is that we have learned, which has come down from generation to generation to generation. This is how we know things because it was just shared. It was passed down. And if we're not sharing it, I'm one of those that I don't care what I have knowledge-wise, I want to share it with somebody. I'm not afraid of anybody taking my job. I'm not afraid of anybody becoming better than me or anything else. I want them to be the best that they can. If they're going to take my job, then that means I get to move up. When I left Cheyenne and I wasn't playing guitar for them anymore, guess what? I looked on the video and they've got like 3 different guitar players now. So don't think that you're the only one that's ever going to be able to fulfill something. You want to be able to pass this on to somebody else so they can learn from your experience in life. So just remember when you're going through some things, these are a couple of the phrases that you'll hear. You just need time. Things get easier. You'll move on eventually. That's not really how it works. You don't move on from something like with us. You just don't. You move forward. You don't move on from certain things in life. You move forward and you learn. There's a difference. There's moving on implies separation, but moving forward means integration. Like I've shared before, this is part of my life story now. This is part of who I am, and I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to share, and I am hoping that that means that other people can grow from it. So here you are, if you're thinking that the world's moved on, but you haven't, or if you feel like people stop checking in, if you feel like you're supposed to be further along than you are, there's nothing wrong with where you are in this. Nothing at all. You're not late. You're not behind. You're in it. You're in it. There's a difference between being stuck and still processing something real. That lady was stuck for 7 years. And then, like I said, I believe that that was the door right there where she started to process something real. For me, it was, I started processing a lot sooner because I didn't want to be stuck. So I hope that this has actually helped. I hope that you don't feel like you're the only one. That is why I'm doing this, so that you can see you're not alone in this. One thing, or a couple things, you can't fix this by forcing it away. You can't just go, I wish this never happened, or if I just don't talk about it, it'll go away. That's not going to happen, no matter what it is that you're going through. You can build some structure inside of it. You can create anchors, things that keep you steady when everything feels for me, when everything felt unsteady was my training. And to this day, I still do training. I don't do as much training as I used to, but I still train. Walking is great. Just getting out and enjoying nature, getting some sunlight is very therapeutic. If you have access to some mountains or some woods, go walk through those, listen to the birds chirp, whatever it is, even routines that don't depend on motivation. Whatever it is, just get out, do something, go have coffee out of the house. Don't just stay in the house. Get out and about. Go to the store. Even if you're not going to buy anything, just go walk in the store. And even if it's you walk in the store and walk right back out, or you walk around and then you come back out, whatever it is, small consistency instead of emotional isolation is going to help you grow. Not because it solves it, but because it gives you somewhere to put it. So in closing, strength is built in the silent part. It's in silence, not in the moments where everything's clear, but in the ones where nothing is. Life just doesn't make sense sometimes, but that's where strength starts. It's in the days where nobody sees what it costs you to keep going. Here you are, you're trying to figure this divorce out or this job, whatever it is. Nobody's seeing that, but here you are, you're in it and you're progressing. So just remember, the world may move on. People may stop asking how you're doing. Life may look like it has continued without you in some ways, but that doesn't mean you're behind. It doesn't mean you're carrying something that most people don't have to understand. You're still here. You're still moving. You're still building strength in the only place it ever really gets built, in the silence. If you like this episode, I encourage you to share it with somebody else, like it. Again, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Go like those. Video definitely on YouTube. Like those, share those, rate it. Let me know what you think. I've got a new picture here for those of you that are watching on video. I just got that in with my logo. I was pretty excited about that. So let me know what you think, and we will catch you on the next episode.